Welcome back once again to Jack's Tech Corner. This is going to be a slightly different type of video. I'm actually recording this, and I hate to see these type of videos, but I can't figure out any other way to do this for you. I'm actually recording this with my camcorder, and we're recording a monitor screen. So hopefully it comes out okay, and there's not a whole lot of flicker, but we'll see what happens. What I wanted to do today was introduce you how to install Windows 7. The first thing I did, just like any time you do an install on your computer, this is going to be a clean install. So I'm starting with a brand new 1 terabyte hard drive. I'm also just put the Windows 7 Ultimate DVD in the drive, and I booted my computer up. Now when you boot your computer up, if you have a Dell, you may have to come up to the boot menu. And normally on a Dell, to do that, you would hold down the F12 key just for a second. You would tap it a couple seconds, and then you can pick out boot from my DVD drive. Most other computers, normally you can get into the BIOS settings, and don't let the BIOS scare you. The main thing with the BIOS is don't change anything in there that you don't know what you're talking about. Now, we're going to go ahead and once you're in the BIOS, make sure you go into the boot options menu and just scroll through there and read the instructions at the bottom of the screen on your BIOS screens, and set it to boot primarily or boot first order from the DVD or CD drive. I guess Windows 7 has to be a DVD drive. So, okay, now we wanted to walk through the install. As you can see, we got this part up right here. Now, this is the initial screen that asks you language and time, formatting, and whatever. So we're just going to hit next on this screen. Now it says install now. Now the install now, I believe we're just going to go right in to the setup here. The primary thing when you're using a hard drive this large, a 1 terabyte hard drive, don't make the whole hard drive your C drive. You know, this is a bad idea for a lot of reasons. The primary reason I can think of is, like I told a friend of mine, is if something happens to your operating system, all your files are with your operating system. So you don't want to do that. You want to make 2 partitions at least. One C drive to hold your operating system and, you know, your setup files for Office or Open Office or whatever you're loading on your computer, and the other partition, it's just one hard drive cut into 2 pieces of pie, let's say. The other partition will hold all your data. That way if you have to reload Windows at any time, you could just reload them on that C drive and leave everything on, we're going to call it the D drive, leave it pretty much intact. You don't have to worry about any of it. So we're going to pause this. This is like baking a cake, I guess. We're going to pause this, and I'm going to run through this screen until I get to the next screen to talk about, and then I'll bring you back into it. So I'll see you back here very soon. Okay, now on this screen we come up with the licensing agreement. And you can read through this. You know, I don't know of really too many people that do. You can scroll through this and read it all. I normally hit accept terms. If you've purchased a DVD, you know, you purchase Windows, it just says, you know, don't make copies of this, don't give it away. You know, it talks about returning the retailer for refund or credit. Just hit accept it and go to the next. Now you're going to click on, you can click on upgrade, but this is funny because this comes up, it's funny because this hard drive has absolutely nothing on it. It's brand new, just purchased it, just put it into the computer, so I know there's nothing on it. We're going to go down here to custom advanced. Install a copy. This option does not keep your files. And the upgrade, folks, remember, the upgrade will only work if you're currently running Windows Vista. If you're running Windows XP, you're going to do a custom advanced, install a new copy. You're going to wipe out all your files. So this is one reason when I install a new operating system, I tend to buy a new hard drive. And I know that's kind of radical, but the reason I do that is my other hard drive, I just disconnected it in the computer. So everything is fine with it. The data is not being touched. I don't have to worry about any of it right now. And once I'm done, I'll copy all that data onto the new hard drive. And then what I'm going to do is I'll actually back up. I'll take it now, back up the files. Like I said, I'll take everything off that old hard drive, put them on my new partition on my new hard drive. Then I can organize everything again. I'll take that old hard drive, reformat it, or totally wipe it off and clean it up, and then I can use it as another backup drive. I actually buy external enclosures for about 30 bucks, and I plug that thing in, and then I have a nice, external drive. So it's something you can do with your old drive. If it's an older drive, if it's an 80 gigabyte or 100 gigabyte anymore even, maybe you want to donate that off. Just clean your data off and give it away. But the drive I currently have in my computer with my Windows XP on it still is a 500 gigabyte drive. So I'm going to use that again. So let's go to custom. Now here, folks, this is something that I want to talk about just a minute because so many people don't understand this. Now we're going to try to zoom in here a little bit on this. Right over there on the lower side here, see, right on the lower right hand side where it says Drive Options Advanced. This is what I meant. You don't want to take a terabyte hard drive and load up your Windows on there and have one partition. We're going to break this hard drive down a little bit so you can actually, like I said, store your data on one drive while maintaining your operating system on the other drive. Let's go to Drive Options. Now, since this is unallocated space, we don't have to worry about deleting this partition. You can see it's not even enabled. But what we're going to do is create a new partition. We're going to take all this space and we're going to make a new partition. We could just take this space and make a new partition, watch. And we can make the whole thing. We can apply that. That will become an active partition, then we can format it. Alright, don't get too confused in this. It's really not that hard to understand. But what I'm going to do is make a smaller partition just for my Windows. But I used to say in here make this like 20 gigs. But what happens is you get your Windows loaded on your computer, you go to load some software, and next thing you know, your C drive is full because most software wants to be loaded on the C drive. Doesn't have to be. We can do custom installs and put that anywhere. But what I found in the end was if you have to reload Windows, you have to reload those programs anyway because they're so incorporated or entangled into Windows with the config files and the Windows System 32 files. So just make it big enough to put all your programs on your C drive. So I was thinking about this last night, thinking, what can I make that? Probably fair would be 50 gigabytes, but we're going to make it 100 to be safe. It's a rather large drive. So there we go. We'll make it 100, or actually it's 100,000. It's marked out megabytes, which will give us 1 gigabyte. Click Apply. Yep, let's create this. So we're actually building that partition. Here's our first partition now. It says Partition 2. Then you got this one up here. They always build a system reserved. I noticed that with Windows 7 as Partition 1. It kind of does that on its own. Then you got this unallocated space right here. You can click on this now and make a partition. By all means. But what I'm going to do is I'll make that partition later on. Because what I like to do is I'll go in and set my drives up. Because right now my CD-ROM drive's plugged in. So that's going to probably take, I know it's going to take a drive loader. So you got C, then you got, I like to make this D. So, you can go in here. Why don't we do that? Just for demonstration purposes. Let's go ahead and set this last drive up here. This is going to be our data drive. You see how big it is? If you can see it on the video, it's 833.9. So for all purposes, 834 gigabytes. So let's go ahead and create a new one. And down here it gives you the 85 something. So if you click Apply, it's going to actually apply that. So it's almost 85. Yeah, right. 850 some gigs. Yeah, that's right. 850 gigs, somewhere around there. But it doesn't show all that. But we have now Partition 3. So I don't want this to confuse you too much. It's very simple. But now what we have to do is, you don't have to format this one right now, but you have to format this one because this is where Windows is going to go. So it's Format. Okay, the partition might contain recovery files, system files, or important software. If you partition it, this data will be lost on the drive. So just click OK. It's a new drive anyway. Alright, and it's really, really fast. I really like that about Windows 7. I don't know how they did that, but a lot of times this used to take, to format that much space, you know, could take up to a half hour, maybe an hour on some slower PCs. But it's formatted already, so it's ready to go. Let's click Next. Now we just start copying all of our Windows files into our, actually, onto that hard drive, onto that new partition we just created. Again, folks, don't let that partitioning really throw you off too much. It's really not that hard. You know, and my wife always yells at me because she goes, well, Jack, you always tell people it's not hard because you've been doing it for so long. I have. I have been doing it for a long time. I remember partitioning back with DOS when you had to stick a floppy disk in and actually partition the drive and get it ready before you loaded anything on it. But it's not hard to understand why you want to do this, and I'm sure through these videos of Windows 7 we'll take a look and see why you actually wanted to do that. Why was that important for us to create that data disk, other than just having, like I said, having a drive if you have to reload Windows, and that's not going to hurt your information or your data you're storing. So, alright, this is kind of going to be a drug out, boring part again here, so we're going to let it start installing Windows, and when I come back up to the next configuration screen, I'll come back on the video. So I'll talk to you again very soon, and once again, it's like baking a cake. So I'll see you back here in a few minutes. At this point, the computer has already rebooted. You've seen that in the video, and it's actually updating the registry settings. And now it actually says setup is starting services, and now it's going to go through and it's going to complete your installation. So your computer's going to reboot once. So don't worry about that. Just follow the menus and follow the screens, and you're going to be fine getting this part of the install done. Just a note to you at this point. Just check the time to install the files, and I don't know if it's just the hard drive is incredibly fast. This hard drive has, I believe it has 30 megabytes of cache, so I mean that spindle is actually spinning pretty good, pretty fast in there. It's a basic hard drive, just like anybody would have in their computer. The RPMs is not really high, it's just a newer drive. It's a very quiet drive. It's a Western Digital 1 terabyte drive. I can tell you just as a kick out there, I got it from Tiger Direct. That's where I buy all my parts from. They very inexpensive. You know, a lot of times the shipping, you can find shipping around the holidays on there. A lot of times free. So check it out, tigerdirect.com. Buy your parts there. Don't go out to the local, computer store. And I'm not saying anything bad about them, but with Tiger Direct also, you're not actually paying any taxes. So even if you pay a couple bucks shipping, you're going to save money there. Kind of zoom in on this so you can see what it's doing now. It's completing the installation right now, so that's what it's kind of working on. And I'll be back in a second. Now here's something really nice I just noticed. It actually, if you see, the screen resolution is so much better. This is a 23-inch widescreen Acer monitor, and the video card I had in there, I was just thinking in my head, boy Jack, you're going to have to find your video drivers. Windows 7 actually figured it out for me and actually loaded the video drivers and set the resolution to perfect, absolutely perfect. This is what I run my resolution at normally on my computer monitors. So that part of it's done. Because part of this video, once we get all this set up, I want to show you how you can go in and start finding your drivers very quickly and easily, instead of, I know a lot of you are like I used to do, you go out to websites and you go looking around at your different hardware and you try to find out your drivers, because every piece of hardware on that computer has to have some kind of driver. I got my speakers all the way up right now, and I noticed I didn't have any sound yet, so we'll see if it picks up the sound card. That's going to be kind of interesting also. So it's completing the installation. I just want to touch base and tell you that the video drivers have been found. So let's hold on and see what's next. Okay, at this point it says setup will continue after restarting the computer, and there we go. We're going back into a reboot. I have my speakers turned up all the way at this point. I just wanted to see if we actually have any sound at this point. So I'm going to let the recorder go and we can record the reboot. I don't know if you can read that in this video or not. I'm not seeing it too great on the monitor. It says it's checking the video performance of the computer itself. This is very important if you're working with the Arrow. You know, the new Arrow features in Windows 7. It was in Windows Vista. Okay, so then we're going to come up to this point here. This is asking you for some basic information. Computer name. That's important if you have anything else on your PC. I'm going to try to zoom really tight into this so you can see what it's saying here. That looks pretty good. Type of username you're going to use for the computer. I always use just my first name. Jack. Now this is Jack PC down here. On my home network we have, you know, multiple PCs here in the house. We probably have 5 computers running, and we have a small server in our basement that runs to store files on. So it's very important that I name this computer a proper name so I can see it on my network. So we're going to name this we're going to name this desktop. We'll name it desktop Win 7. That way I know it has Windows 7 on it. It's the main desktop computer of the house. Most of the other computers are laptops through the house. Then we'll just simply click on Next. Then it's going to ask for a password. Let's see if this... yeah, it does it. That kind of asterisks it out there. So and now a password hint is very important. Let's see here. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the monitor here. So the password hint is very important on these things. Because what's going to happen if you forget your password, the hint is going to come up and be presented to you, and then you're going to be able to maybe figure out what your password is. Now it's going to ask for your product key. I am going to stop this video at this point and type my product key in, just, you know, out of security reasons, just to keep those product keys safe and keep them to yourself. And folks, remember, when you're done with these installs, put the DVD back in the package it came in and put that safely on the shelf somewhere with the product key and everything. Because if you have to reload, so many people come to me and say, Jack, can you fix my computer? The first thing I say is, where's your Windows CD? I don't know. Well, what happens is, go out and spend another $190 to buy another Windows package because you need this product key. So, I'll be right back. Okay. So the product key is safely in. We entered that. When you're entering your product key also, to save you a few minutes, don't worry about typing the dashes, because since Windows, I think I first seen that in Windows Vista, when you're entering the product key, it actually throws the dashes in there for you, so just to save you a few steps anyway. It's also going to have a checkbox on that key code that says, if I'm online, automatically activate my Windows. Make sure that's checked. I mean, you purchased it, activate it as soon as you can, because if not, it's going to load it up in a demo type of install, And what you're going to do is, what's going to happen with that demo install is after so many days, you'll turn your computer on one day and it's not going to work. It's going to come up and be like, this Windows not activated. Sorry. And I haven't really found any easy way around that. If you know of any, email me and let me know. So now we're going to talk about Windows updates. And I know a lot of you out there hate updates. I hate it when I walk in and see my computer's been rebooted on its own. It's really ridiculous. We can set it a lot of ways to make it so it doesn't reboot on its own, so it asks you to reboot, but that gets to be a pain too. So I always use the recommended settings. Install important and recommended updates. If you can see that, the top one. Why not? You want your Windows to be as safe as it possibly can, right? If there's a security update, you want that update to come up. Now it's going to ask you for the set the time. It's sad to say I once had somebody working for me that didn't realize this part, or thought we lived in a different time zone than where we live, and all of our system clocks on our computers were way off. And when you're running a network of 700 some computers, and 400 of those, the time is set to Central Standard Time, bit of a problem, especially around like when folks are waiting for lunch and they're like, well, the time's not right. Make sure you click on the pull-down menu, select out where you live. If you live abroad around the world, then you know your time zone there. So anyway, that's that. Automatically adjust and check for daylight savings time. Unfortunately, if you live in a part of the States that has daylight savings time that observes that, you want to check that. You don't want to fool with your clock. Make sure the calendar is set right. It is Friday, and oh my, it's actually Friday the 13th. I didn't realize that today. Didn't even look at the calendar. Then hit next. This is asking you, where is this computer? Is it at home? Is it at work on a network? It is at home, or it's on a public network. I have never actually used that, but I guess maybe if you have a laptop and you're going to be going out. This is just a way of setting your computer up to kind of throw some added level of security on your network connection. We're going to say home. So it's connecting to the network and it's applying settings. Hopefully, if it has the network drivers, this is a long shot sometimes, we'll see how good it is. If it has the network card drivers on it. Must have found it, apparently. It didn't give me any issues there. And then we actually come up to the welcome screen. So we are on the welcome screen. It's setting up, preparing our desktop, so that's good. I do have some flashing on my my router here, on my network switch, and there is some sound. You just heard some sound on there, so that's really good. And there is our actual Windows desktop. I know you can't see much of that right now. And already, I'm going to try to loosen this tripod up a little bit. This tripod is probably one of the noisiest tripods I've ever heard in my life. If you watch one of my other videos online, you can see that. But right down there, it's already installing some new updates. There we go. So Windows installed some new updates. System, some kind of, oops. I don't want this tape looking like the Blair Witch Project. If you've ever seen that program, kind of funny because the camera is bouncing up and down and gives you motion sickness. But it installed some kind of ACPI utilities, some kind of power utilities on there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the drivers to see what the drivers are. And what I thought was I'm going to try to turn this tape off for a minute. I want to see if it did find my network. I want to get some software loaded on here just so I can start doing some screen recordings instead of recording with this camcorder, which is okay for an install. But folks, I don't like putting you through this. I know it's painful, but it was the only way I could think of how to show you an install. I can't use a screen recording software to record if I'm doing the install. So I will see you back here very soon, and we will start talking about looking at drivers now and seeing what we have set up on the computer. So thanks for watching this video. of installing Windows 7. We do have it installed. Jump over to my website and check it out. That's jackstechcorner.com. jackstechcorner.com. All one word. And have a look around there. Join the forums. There's a great forum on there. I've been running for quite some time. You'll see posts on there for a couple years now. So it's great. We can all talk and communicate on there. Email me if you have any questions on the install. My email is jackstechcorner@gmail.com. Okay, folks. I'll see you back here very soon. Thanks for watching this video presentation of installing Windows 7. I hope it helped.